first describe what my hometown looks like. Jakarta, Indonesia is surrounded by beautiful oceans, exotic temples, and strong dialects. Does any of this ring a bell? Yes. The descriptions also fit very well with Busan. 7 beaches, attractive temples like Haedong Yeonggongsa, and we can't forget the famous dialect Busan 사투리. And that's when I knew Busan was going to be my second home. I grew up so much in Busan that I even mentor other students from Indonesia to help them with their Korean and life in Busan. When I teach them Korean, I sometimes see myself using 사투리. Looking back, I remember struggling to understand what my professors were saying because they were using 찐 Busan 사투리, you know, the real Busan dialect. But I think that's what makes Busan more of my home. Through the dialect, I feel the warm jong that no other city can mimic. Global City Busan. We are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
All right, everyone, it is Friday and it is the day after the CSAT or 수능 exam. So, although test takers, they emerged from the really rigorous hours-long series of exams late yesterday afternoon into early evening, it wasn't purely relief or exhilaration or celebration for all. Because right after the exam, did you know, if you're not Korean, you might not know this. Test takers, they actually were busy trying to gauge how they actually did right after the exam. It wasn't just celebration. Many headed straight to their respective hagwons to kind of calculate their scores or had to report their raw scores to their homeroom teachers. However, irrespective of the scores, it's done. Let's applaud the amazing efforts of all the students and test takers. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, November 14th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. Welcome to our program, Morning Wave in Busan, on this Friday morning. Oh, yes, the CSATs are done and over with. And once again, big kudos to the test takers, the parents, the teachers, and the exam proctors as well. Putting this huge chapter behind us, by the way, I hope all of you did well. But of course, this is the start of a new chapter in this long college admissions process. So what's been going on since yesterday, afternoon into evening, students, they've been scoring their exams tentatively. That's what happens. Trying to get a feel of how they did. And already the private academies, the hagwons, they've released their predictions on where each raw score could land on the university's minimum score for admissions. And students, based on this information, they are trying to determine whether to keep going with the transcript-based early admissions or switch to regular admissions track, based solely on their CSAT score. So basically, they have to determine, is it continue with the sushi route or, is it just all in for the Cheongshi? It's very, very convoluted. So where are we in the general scheduling for college admissions? The next big date is tomorrow, because major universities, they start their 논술 or essay-based admissions, and these exams are scheduled through the rest of November. At the same time, there are going to be interviews that are going to be ongoing through early December. So early admissions applicants, the sushi applicants, they will get their results by December 12th. And then for regular admissions, test takers will get their CSAT scores on Friday, December 5th. I know that those are a lot of dates. But if you're, still in this, right, if you are a test taker, you know all the dates probably by heart. Regular admissions applications, there's a very short window for this between December 29th and December 31st. And then the results for that will be announced on February 2nd. And by the way, some people, some students are going to get in and some will be waitlisted. And that waiting, I feel, is so, so painful. And I do feel for all of you, the parents out there as well, as the waiting game begins. So yes, the race continues. And as the saying goes, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So let's take a deep breath, collective deep breath, and buckle up for the ride because it's not over till it's over. Now, let's go to our text topic for this Friday morning. If you had total freedom for a week, what would you do? 만약 여러분에게 완전한 일주일의 자유가 주어진다면 뭘 하실까요? 뭘 할 거예요? 네, 우리 PD님은 일주일 짧아요. 1년 주세요. 벌써 멘트를 올리시네요. 우리 PD님 최고예요. She's such an early adopter. She's always the first one in. This is what I think. I love it. Okay, so what would you do for a week? No, not a year, just 1 week. Total freedom. What would you do? You can send in your opinions, your thoughts to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM, 부산 영어 방송, to find our channel. Subscribe and log in to chat with our waivers. From your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. Find us first, BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Add us as a friend. Then you can send in your messages, photos if you like as well. You can tune into Morning Wave in Busan on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM, depending on where you are in Busan. We are streaming live right now on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. And we're available on the BEFM app and Popbang app as well. Looking ahead to our Friday morning, who's coming in today? We have Casey for Foreign Press Highlights, Andrew Miller, 안교수님 for Global Affairs, our special interview. I know we've been talking about 수능, but this other story or stories that have been breaking over the past several days, the wave of AI cheating scandals really shaking up Korea's top universities. And let's face it, it's probably not just at those prestigious universities. It's probably pervasive. We're going to find out with an expert what this means for students and educators alike. And I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06 and this is News Overview. President calls for overhaul in key areas, including labor. President Ijeong yesterday called for bold reforms across 6 key areas to improve the country's economic growth rate. Court rejects arrest warrant for ex-Justice Minister Park Sung-jae. The Seoul Central District Court again turned down the special counsel's request to arrest former Justice Minister Park Sung-jae related to his alleged involvement in the December 3rd martial law declaration. Arrest motion for Chu Kyung-ho brought to Parliament. A motion to approve the arrest of former People Power Party floor leader Chu Kyung-ho was introduced to the National Assembly yesterday, with the Parliament to vote on the motion on November 27th. Truck accident at Busan Traditional Market kills 2, injures 19. A 67-year-old driver drove his pickup truck into Jeil Traditional Market in Busan, Gyeonggi Province, killing 2 and injuring 19 others. U.S. government opens after shutdown. The U.S. federal government agencies are reopening after President Donald Trump signed a funding package, ending the longest 43-day shutdown. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. We have Sejin in the studio. Let's say hi first. Happy Friday.
Hi.
Yes. So let's get into our text topic first. If you had total freedom for a week, what would you do?
I might pack up my belongings and take a travel
Oh, where would you go?
to Europe or Japan.
Oh, really?
So my friends always tell me of not like really go to Asia countries a lot for travel.
Yes.
And I've never been to like really the capital city of the Japan.
Okay. So that might be a nice little trip for a week, right?
Yes.
Very nice. Well, we're going to jump into the latest regarding Gadeokdo Airport because the residents, that's a whole different angle too. They have to, some of them, move because of the new airport, correct?
Yes. The National Assembly finally passed a bill yesterday to help them resettle and make a living again and create this new source of income. Out of 154 lawmakers present, 122 voted in favor, 5 against, and 27 abstained.
Yeah, so it sounds like solid support. What is the main point of this amendment?
Basically, it gives local governors and project operators the authority to set up and carry out more comprehensive support plans for people who lose their homes or livelihood due to their airport project. So relocation support and income assistance can move forward faster now. One of the lawmakers said the helping the people is basic responsibility of the state when it pushes the national project. And he promised to make sure all the support measures get rolling quickly.
I see. So this is another facet of the whole Gadeokdo Airport project. Thanks for reporting on it. Next, there's been an important update on the ground subsidence issue along the Sasan-Hadan line. So can we hear it?
Yes, the sinkhole incident in Section 1 of the Sasan-Hadan subway line were found to have been caused by the contractor's unauthorized change of construction method and inadequate supervision and inspection. The city's audit committee has basically handed them a big institutional warning. They have given disciplinary actions to a bunch of their staff and 3 executives.
Yeah, so it wasn't about just one mistake. It looks like a chain of failures.
Yes, the core issue was poor construction quality of the cutoff, pointed to unauthorized construction, neglect by the supervising firm, and a lack of proper checks by the corporation. For example, the contractor skipped the approved SGR method and switched to horizontal granting without approval. They changed the method because the equipment got tangled with the underground utilities, basically making do with a workaround that wasn't authorized.
I see.
But the problem is that this method doesn't form a proper cutoff wall, so it's much more likely to leave voids underground. And 8 out of 12 incidents happened exactly where this horizontal grounding was used.
So that's one facet, but what about supervisors? Didn't they step in?
Apparently not. They didn't halt or correct the work and only filed a poor quality report this February. And the corporation proceeded without ordering design changes, which the committee says are neglect of their oversight duties. They also did not get the required technical consultations when changing the construction method. And the committee rejected the corporation's earlier explanation that heavy rain leaks were to blame.
Because that's what we heard in the beginning. So they've issued the warning. They asked for disciplinary and cautionary measures due to poor supervision and kind of this complacent attitude maybe towards repeated incidents.
You spot on. And now the corporation and the supervising firm are both facing penalties that will impact their future bid.
I see. Well, this is, of course, very unfortunate, but thanks for reporting on this story, the updates on it. All right, I hear that Busan has got a new transportation option coming next year, so something on the water?
Yeah, they picked a company called 요트탈레 to run this new marine taxi route that's going to zip between Gwangalli, the Suyang River, and Haeundae, all major tourist spots.
Yes.
They're planning to bring in 6 eco-friendly vessels with 12 seats and to start the service. The idea is you can hop on at one of those tourist spots, get the Haeundae skyline views, night lights on 광안대교 bridge, and the riverside scenery along Suyang.
Yes, it sounds really fantastic. When does everything kick off?
They will wrap up negotiations within the year, do test runs in the first half of next year, and they'll launch the full service in the second half.
Yes.
And the Busan expects to work nicely alongside the city tour buses, create creating a bit of synergy. It should help ease a bit of road traffic in busy spots like Haeundae and Gwanli by just shifting some of the tourist flow onto the water.
I see. Well, it sounds like a good plan. We look forward to seeing this come to fruition. All right. One of Busan's biggest annual events actually kicked off, was it yesterday? Or is it today? When did it start? It's today?
It's yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, yes. So tell us about it.
Yep, G-Star 2025, the country's biggest game exhibition, kicked off yesterday at Mexico. That runs until the 16th, that's so Sunday. And this year, there's been even bigger global presence among countries and companies.
Yes. So we all know of G-Star, right? It comes yearly. It's amazing. But for those of our listeners who don't know what this is, what is this about, G-Star?
It's an international exhibition where industry players and fans come together to try new releases and catch up on the latest trends. The slogan this year is Expand Your Horizons. And participation has grown significantly from global firms and indie developers from Korea and abroad.
Yes. So I like that whole theme, though, Expand Your Horizons. Do we know how big the exhibition is this year?
This year's event will feature over 1,270 companies from 44 countries, filling around 3,200 booths. 19 outstanding game companies from Busan will showcase their signature content.
Yes.
The Busan city will operate a joint pavilion for local firms, hosting various exhibitions and on-site events throughout the festival.
I see. So once again, if you haven't checked it out, it is pretty major. So if you have the chance, go check it out. Next up, Sejin, there's some major news about one of Busan's most iconic sites. So what is this about?
Busan City says it has refurnished the Gwangan Bridge for the first time in 12 years and is bringing in much more sophisticated lighting and media features. The city finished this lighting improvement project last month and started operating the new system this month. The previous lighting system was set up in December 2013. So this is the first big fresh in over a decade.
Right. So what has actually changed? Because, Gwangan Bridge, it's one of like the most iconic, like structures in Busan. But it does sound like a big overhaul.
Yes. What they have done is almost double the number of lights and squeeze them closer together. So instead of 1 meter apart, they are half meter apart now. And that means the colors and the resolution look way sharper. They've added moving lights and the media content, so the visual effects are much stronger.
Yes.
The city says this will allow for more advanced lighting effect during the Busan Firework Festival on the 15th.
Yes. So there's an even bigger long-term plan, I hear.
Yes, Busan is also planning the Seven Bridge Landmark project, adding aesthetic and cultural element to 7 major bridges across the city.
That's right. So, by the way, the Fireworks Festival, that's actually tomorrow, if you can believe. So, thanks for all the local news. We'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Sejin.
No worries.
All right, let's get to your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
It's 7:17. Here's your traffic report right now. First up, the Dongso overpass is congested from Bumnagor ramp to the old Kaegum toll gate. It's backed up on Pyeongno going away from the city right around the Wondong ramp. There's traffic on Luno Samsungdaero from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge, and it's also slow right now on Gwanmundaero from Pangnam Tunnel to Paegang Tunnel. In hour number 2, we're going to give you some information about detours you might have to take because of the fireworks festival tomorrow. Now let's talk about the weather. It's currently 7 degrees Celsius under clear skies. It's going to go up to 19 degrees. Clear day nationwide with thick fog in Chungcheong and the southern regions. Looking ahead to the weekend, clear skies for both tomorrow and Sunday. Tomorrow you can expect a low of 6, a high of 17, and on Sunday, a low of 9 and a high of 19. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you look so student-esque.
Casual. Oh, is
Because
that what it is?
No, in the best way possible. So it looks like you're done with your 수능
I'm free.
and you're free.
I'm about to go on my 1 week vacation.
Yes.
Let's go.
Where are you going?
I'm going somewhere.
Yeah?
Definitely going.
Where are
let's
you
see.
going?
I think I would like to go on somewhere remote, far away from the city. It's fall. Yeah. Are you bummed out? Are you bummed out by my
I wanted
response?
a different answer.
I apologize.
For different reasons I cannot say on air, but anyhow. Let's jump into our first story. We're going to go over the 수능, the CSATs from yesterday.
Right. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy between what the authorities, the test makers said versus what the test takers and experts are saying.
Yes.
So first, with what the authorities said, the test makers said that the CSAT's Korean language, 국어, and math subjects were on par, if not just a little bit different from last year's exam. Especially, they focused on the reading portion of the Korean language, saying the difficulty level may have been higher. And then in math, generally fairly on par with last year, with some difficult questions to discern the top levels.
Yes.
And this statement came from the chair of the exam questions board, Professor Kim Chang-won, during the briefing yesterday. So he said that the questions were formulated in a way that they could be discerning based on the public education curriculum.
Well, I want to get the opinion of other educators.
Right. So there are EBS teachers on scene who take the exam with the students, and they said it seems to have been a little more difficult than last year's.
Right.
In Korean language, yes, they did agree the reading difficulty level was higher, but in some aspects, literature and other elective options were easier. English was interestingly the big deal because English, keep in mind that it is the only subject that's not graded on a curve.
Right.
But it is expected that only 4.5% of students will receive a score of 90 or higher.
Right.
If it had been graded on a curve, it's the top 10% who get level 1. So that's certainly interesting. According to private institutions, they have their estimates of the raw score and what that might give you in the Korean language portion to get level 1, the highest level. Korean language, it's between, depending on what electives you chose, 85 and 89. That's up to 7 points lower than last year, which means the test was that much more difficult. So not as many high score getters, which brings down the curve lower. Math, a little bit similar to last year, 86 to 91, depending on which elective subtopics you chose.
Yes. So, if your child yesterday said, it was really difficult, apparently it was. Yes, it was difficult. And as this is going on, let's look at the broader societal figures and perception regarding higher education.
Right. So how many people in Korea are going to college? So why is this exam such a big deal?
Right.
Many. So looking back at this particular academic year, the 2025 college attendance rate, 대학 진학률, was the highest ever. So according to Korea Research, the college attendance rate for high school students was 76.3%, meaning
really?
more than 3/4 advanced onto college. The gender gap, interestingly, was also the biggest. Female students going to college more so than male students. So we're looking at 78.5% female students versus 74.2 male students for an over 4-point difference.
Yes. So how does this compare to the rest of the world?
So we're pretty much the highest in terms of college acceptance rates, college advanced rates in the OECD, with 71% of people between the ages of 25 and 34 having graduated high school. And this leads to the perception going to college, a university in South Korea, is a necessity. It's essential, which, by the way, 69% of those surveyed agreed with.
Okay. Well, what about this whole university hierarchy and also prejudice?
Because there's that rhyme, right? We all know. So 87% thought the issue of lining up colleges by their rankings and the hierarchy this was a serious issue.
Okay.
And this figure actually hasn't changed much since 2021, which is not too long ago, but that academic hierarchy is strong. 80% responded that they thought discrimination based on your academic standing or where you went to school was serious.
Okay.
Specifically, we're talking about regional, the in-Seoul versus the non-Seoul universities, 88%. Whether someone only graduated from high school versus whether they advanced on to university, that was 82%. And 4-year schools versus 2 or 3-year tech or vocational schools, that was also a serious issue.
Yes, and the thing is like going to college or universities, or especially like the really highly regarded or ranked universities, does have a strong socioeconomic link.
Right. And, statistics, they do prove this because when you're looking at the so-called the sky universities, the proportion of students who qualify for government aid that's based on your household income, that is significantly lower.
Yes.
Meaning more students are in the top 10, 20% of income levels. So, and let's look at perceptions. 65% of those surveyed thought you needed private education, private classes to go to university.
Right.
And there was obviously a clear economic distribution because someone's got to pay for those classes.
Yes.
So for high income earners, we're talking about households that make 6 million won per month or more. 62% already sent their kids to private education. 75% they're planning on it.
Okay.
By contrast, lower income households, 37% were sending their kids to private education. So that's a little over half of the higher income, 49% planned on it.
I see. So you can tell just by those numbers the difference. Thanks for reporting on the Suneung and education. Moving on, let's talk about this story. The Daejangdong appeals keep growing.
Right. The appeals is happening, but the prosecution did not appeal the case, thus the divide. So acting prosecutor general Do Man-seok, he already resigned over this controversy.
Yes.
This led to, however, an unprecedented case of top prosecutors basically from that down to first year demanding his resignation, thus the reason.
Yes.
So on Wednesday, this announcement came.
Yes. And what did he say about this entire situation?
Right. So the announcement was actually really short, just 54 words, basically saying he's resigning and this is for the prosecution. But he said that he will actually issue a more detailed statement in his position during his farewell ceremony. So naturally, there's a lot of attention as to what that might be and when that might be. Former acting prosecutor general No, he started using his leftover vacation days starting yesterday. But he will hold a closed door unofficial farewell ceremony later today. So while the press won't be allowed in the room, the prosecution said that his speech will be sent to the press immediately after the ceremony. So we'll have to see.
I see. But do we know anything? What do we know about No's position thus far?
Right, because his position, it also points to this internal divide within the prosecution and also even bringing the Justice Ministry in.
Yes.
So right up until his resignation, No refuted this so-called external pressure argument with the Vice Justice Minister Lee Jin-soo.
Yes.
So there was this whole prosecution versus Justice Ministry aspect to this story.
Right.
And then No indirectly implied that there was pressure from the Justice Ministry. The ministry, on the other hand, maintained the position that they did not order or exercise any authority. What it only did was to convey the Justice Minister's position that the prosecution should make a careful decision.
Yes.
So for now, though, his resignation has quieted down this uproar from within the organization of the prosecution itself.
Right.
However, if we're taking a larger scope of the prosecution versus the Justice Ministry matter, still a little bit unsettled.
Yes, yes. So, of course, I'm sure you'll have more as the story continues to unfold. For our final story, though, we're going to go to the U.S. The longest U.S. government shutdown is now over, right?
Right. So it was after 43 days.
Yes.
So this is after President Donald Trump signed a bill that would inject funding back into the federal government.
Yes.
So yes, again, the longest U.S. government shutdown has come to an end. Or at least it'll fund the government for the next couple of months. So the bill, this is a stopgap, meaning a temporary measure. So let's go through the timeline. The bill to fund the government passed the Senate first after 8 Democratic senators voted with the Republicans, breaking the party's rank. This was more uncertain in the House, and that's where we kind of left things off. The lower House of Representatives. However, here also 6 Democrats joined Republicans to pass the bill. but also 2 Republicans voted with the Democrats. So there was a bit of a cross-party line going on.
Okay.
The final vote from the House of Representatives was 222 to 209.
Sure.
And then finally, President Trump signing the bill shortly after the House vote. He actually blamed the Democrats for the shutdown, saying that they did this the hard way. And he also alluded to what this might mean and saying that the Americans might remember this come the midterm elections next year. And by the way, the midterm elections is the U.S. General elections.
Yes, yes. So what happens now that the government shutdown has, I guess, officially ended?
Money's going out, right? So federal workers can get paid now because a lot of them had been essential workers, have been working without pay. So the back pay will go out. And then also we're talking about air traffic controllers. But as you said, that process is going to be slower because money's not in their bank accounts right now.
Sure.
Bureaucracy takes time. And then also, though, faster things happening, 42 million people on food stamps. So the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance or SNAP program can start getting their benefits. I read a report starting Monday local time. So it's just one more weekend to hang on to. What's not in the bill, right? That's also important, is extending healthcare subsidies for Americans, which expire at the end of the year. So if people don't have a workplace covered health insurance, their health insurance rate was going to spike. And, healthcare in the U.S. is quite expensive.
Yes.
So this is not in the bill. And Democrats, the whole reason that this government shutdown began in the first place was that Democrats wanted this extension before they would sign on to the federal funding bill.
Right.
Republicans promised to hold a vote, not pass it, but hold a vote next month. So the shutdown has ended. However, this is not an end at all to the underlying problems that caused the shutdown. So we're going to continue to see this story.
Yes, yes. Thanks for thoroughly explaining what went down and what might happen. And we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we are ready for our first song for this Friday morning. So here it is. This is Your Man by Josh Turner.
Baby, lock the door and turn the lights down low and put some music on that's soft and slow. Baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. There's no hurry, don't you worry. We can take our time. Come a little closer, let's go over what I had in mind. Baby, lock the door and turn the lights down low. Put some music on that's soft and slow. Baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. Ever love nobody the way that I love you. We're alone now, you don't know how long I've wanted to. Lock the door and turn the lights down low. Put some music on that's soft and slow. Baby, we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. I've been thinking about this all day long. Never felt a feeling that was quite this strong. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man. I can't believe how much it turns me on just to be your man.
Welcome back, everybody. I know some of you were like commenting that you were surprised at the country. We are an equal opportunity kind of radio song kind of program. So, how'd you like that? Oh, I wish I had my cowboy hat. I have one at home, but anyhow. I hope you're all doing well. Let's get to some of your responses for our text topic. Today, it's a fun one. If you had 1 week, just 1 week, not a month, not a season, not a whole year, like our producer was asking for. 1 week, entire freedom. Freedom from whomever or whatever. What would you do? Well, let's see what you have to say. 블랑크님 says, 하루는 통으로 자고 나머지는 집에서 덩글거리면서 친구들이랑 놀다가 영화 보고 하고 싶어요. So this person says, one entire day, sleep. The remaining days, just lounge around the house. And then maybe, hang out with friends and then go catch a movie. It sounds so relaxing. 태진님 says, 저는 바로 교토 여행 갈 거예요. 일주일이 딱 필요해요. 너무 좋겠다. 태진님 누구랑 갈 거예요? Because I do remember, didn't you take like a solo trip? So are you going to take the whole family? Your lovely wife and 2 kids? Or Casey is shaking his head off air. Oh no. Okay, I worry for you, Casey. But Benny saying for a whole week it will be vacation in a nearby province or even a staycation in a hotel. And the reason, time to rest, time to take some reflection about your recent weeks. Casey, can we see you shaking your head again?
No, you can't.
No. All right, I'll read more of your messages, but I want Casey's take on this text topic. And of course, we're going to get into Foreign Press Highlights.
Should I be?
Oh, very honest. It's time for Foreign Press Highlights. And we already have a message for you.
Yeah.
From one of our listeners, Layla. Casey님 목숨 몇 개? How many lives do you have? Because she saw the I'm going on my own. She saw that.
I didn't say anything.
But sometimes actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
Yes. So
I just learned my lesson.
By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what would you do?
I was actually daydreaming about it as you were reading messages. I was like, I was trying to determine whether it's worth taking the longer flight to Croatia or the shorter flight to the Philippines.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I was like, because both places I could just for 1 week just. I'm not like a big beach person, but if you got a week.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Lounging around.
Yeah, I could do that for a week. I'll just go in for a swim every now and then. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
So be completely honest.
Yeah.
Are you going by yourself?
Of course I'm going by myself.
The words didn't even pop out of my mouth yet. Come on, Casey. 목숨 하나 없어졌어요. One life is gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goodbye, one life.
Well, what are we talking about today for Foreign Press Highlights?
Well, we're going to talk about from the BBC. I mean, the Sunung always makes headlines every year.
Yes.
And there were plenty of headlines this year. And they usually typically explain what the common experience is for students.
Sure.
And people are always like, oh my gosh, right? Is this real? So, but this is the first time I've seen a headline like this before. From the BBC, 13 hours by touch inside one of the world's longest exam days. And have you ever heard the Sunung taking 13 hours?
13 hours? Why 13 hours? I know it's long.
Yes. And typically 8 hours is what I've read. Right,
depending on the electives. But yeah,
Right.
it's an all-day exam, for sure. You go early in the morning. When you emerge, it's like dark. Yes.
Yeah, and I saw that yesterday when I went to pick up my son at his elementary school. Right across the street's a high school.
I was
and
going to say,
like,
your little one took the Sunung yesterday.
No.
Because I know how young he is. That's why I was like, what? He's a genius?
No. But I just saw like there was nowhere to park. Like it was just too much going on. I was like, I don't know how to pull over and how can I get pick up my son?
I have one word
Yeah.
to describe her afterwards. Kreng. It's the word I'm going to use.
Yeah.
To describe. I was just like,
It's just that feeling.
that look like,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, so
Yeah.
what this story details is basically they actually details the experience of two blind Korean students who are taking the test.
Yes.
And regardless, whoever takes the test, it's a really difficult experience. But this sounds even much more
Okay.
so extremely difficult.
13 hours.
And imagine this. So you know you're going to have at least 12 hours, probably up to 13 hours. How would you like to sit through that without no dinner break?
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That is just
Unbelievable.
painful.
So
Yes.
one of the students they talked to is an 18-year-old named Oh Jung-won, and he's a student at the Hanbit School for the Blind. And he said like the late afternoon is the hardest part of the day.
Yes.
He's like, up until lunch, it's manageable.
Sure.
But then around 4 or 5 o'clock after English and before Korean history, that's
Right.
when it really gets tough. There's no dinner break. So we're solving problems during the time we'd normally eat, so it feels even more exhausting.
Sure.
Still, this is the amazing part. These kids, just their drive. He says, I keep going because I know there will be some sense of accomplishment at the end. And I'm like, I don't know if I could say the same. You know, once
I don't know if I could do it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
right?
13 hours is pretty grueling. Yes.
I have basically zero recollection of taking the American SAT test. It wasn't that long, you know what I mean? Like it's
It was
not
longish,
longish.
but it was like math and in English.
Certain
So it's
sections,
like-
you're right,
And then
yeah.
you're basically done. And for those of you who are joining us on the radio, on our YouTube channel, we have a photo of one of the students that you're talking
Oh,
about.
that's Donghyun, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he was featured in the article as
Yeah,
well.
so he's featured because, any exam of this length, whether it's 6 hours or 7 hours, is really long, but 13
Grueling.
hours
Yeah.
is just a whole different story. Yes.
And just the dinner break is only one of the disadvantages that other students don't have to deal with.
Right.
So they have, as you could see in the photo that we put up there,
Yes.
there were Braille versions of the test materials, right?
But it was like a pile.
Right.
For those of you who didn't see, so we're putting it back up.
Yeah.
A pile of the test booklets, and I'm sure because I'm assuming everything was in Braille, right?
Right.
Yes.
So there's a couple of issues with that. So like as you noticed, like the exam materials are much more voluminous.
Voluminous. Yeah, there's just like a lot
There's
of
the
them.
word.
Right.
So for example, the standard test booklet for the Korean language section is about 16 pages.
Sure.
But the Braille version is roughly 100 pages long because the actual like physical space
Right.
needed for the Braille.
Yes.
So it takes like that much more time to sort through everything. And that's another issue with the Braille textbooks. The preparation books as well.
Yes.
So there's like a state-produced version of the preparation books that everybody uses, and the Braille versions are much delayed.
Right.
So according to Jungwon, he says like sighted students get their EBS books between January and March and study them for the whole year.
Sure.
We receive the Braille files only around August or September when the exam is just a few months away. And I'm sure you've seen firsthand how much
Yeah.
preparation goes into studying for the exam. So that's a serious setback.
Right.
And they do say that, they talk to the National Institute of Special Education, who produces the Braille version of these exam prep materials.
Right.
They said the process takes at least 3 months for each book because they have to follow relevant guidelines, which sounds, it's okay, understood. It takes more effort, but this is not the first year these materials have had to been produced. So the Institute says it's making various efforts to ensure that blind students can study without disruption, such as producing and providing them materials in separate volumes.
Right,
so I guess
right.
as soon as they get something made, put it out, not wait for the whole volume to be
Sure.
produced. But according to the student we saw previously, Han Donghyun, he says the Braille materials weren't completed until less than 90 days before the exam. So yeah, he and others obviously wishing they could speed up the process.
Right. And, we're talking about Braille. I believe in Korean it's called 점자, if I'm not mistaken. And so to get the material, just a few months before, I wish there was some other way, a better way to get all of the information, the exam prep materials,
Right.
To all the students sighted and not,
Right.
who might have some sort of visual disability, to get them out at the same time. I know it might be difficult, but I just wish we could.
Yeah, and
Yes.
there are people pushing for that. There's the Korean Blind Union who has brought this issue up with authorities. And they do plan to file a constitutional petition to demand greater accessibility to Braille
Okay.
versions of all textbooks.
Yes, yes.
And it's not just the state-produced ones. A lot of students rely on like privately produced books.
Oh, yes.
And there are no Braille versions of that.
I see.
And a lot of like the online material to help students prepare as well.
Yes.
So there are some issues, but there are some positives, some changes that have
Okay.
happened. For example, Donghyun, who's probably just took the exam yesterday, in addition to having the Braille test papers, there is a screen reading computer as well. They're also allowed to use a kind of Braille note-taking machine.
Sure.
So that's a recent addition since 2016. And that's a big help as well because before that, all calculations for the math section just had to be done in your head.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So
And-
that's a huge change.
Math in Korea is tough.
I've seen it already at the elementary school level, and I'm like, yeah, I can help you with that.
Can you?
No. I'm trying to be positive.
No, I'm asking because I remember
don't know.
like
Yeah.
after 6th grade, I couldn't help my kids. Like, because I forgot, and like it's in Korean,
Right.
and a lot of the math problems are like word problems.
Oh,
So it's like
right.
the Korean language, for me, it was an issue. So I was just like, I think it's now time for 학원. And that was kind of like my breaking point. I'm like, 중학교,
Yeah.
send you to a professional.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for preparing me for the future there.
Oh, Casey, I have so many tips for you off air.
Okay.
I'll give you the lowdown. So many tips, yes.
A little bit at a time, please.
Yes,
There's only
yes.
so much I can handle.
In one day.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to tell us about in regards to this first story?
Yeah. Basically, you know, they talked to the student's teacher who's basically seen the students go through this process every year
Yes.
after year. And he says, like, the students are just amazing. He says, you know, he also kind of urges his students to value completion rather than the regret that you might feel after taking the test. A lot of students might feel disappointed. But he says, you know, he just wants them to leave knowing that they did what they could and the exam is not everything. So, yeah.
So you said you don't have a major recollection of taking the SAT?
Not at all.
Did you take it once, twice?
I think just once. And I like did well enough that I was like, okay. You know, like,
Oh, look at you. I took it twice.
did you?
The first time I relied on my brain, and that was so stupid.
That was a that was a failure. Don't rely on your brain.
No, meaning like I just went in without like prepping. That was like so
understood.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went out and I bought an SAT book. There were no hagwons, you know, in
Right.
LA at that time.
It was
so-
totally up to you to prepare.
Yeah, you had to prep. So I
Yeah.
remember getting a really thick book, and that one I really studied. And
Did
then,
you?
Yeah, and then got the score that I wanted. But still,
Cool.
the first time I was kind of like, am I this stupid? Yeah.
I guess I was like, I guess I'm okay enough. I don't know. I
Oh.
really don't remember. Like, I don't.
You don't remember?
No, I don't. It wasn't like a traumatic experience for me, but
Okay, okay.
you know, for a lot of kids, this is like a big deal.
It is. It is. Well, thanks for explaining a different angle of the sunung. And now we're going to get to our next story. What's it about?
Okay, this one's also from the BBC, and it's completely not related.
Okay.
But it's something I had no idea that was going on. The headline is "Drugs disguised as tea keep washing up on this South Korean holiday island," and I imagine you know which island they're talking about when
Wait,
they say
are we
that.
talking about like tea? That tea?
That's what it's supposed to look like.
That's what it's supposed to look like, but it's
right,
not.
but it's not.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll explain. So since September, residents on South Korea's Jeju Island have been
Yes.
spotting small packs of what appear to be bags of Chinese tea that have just been washing up on the shore.
Right, right.
Upon closer inspection, however, they're found to contain ketamine.
Ketamine.
Yes, which
Ketamine is like a majorly illegal drug.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I've heard about it, you know, in online stories about, you know, usually the United States, what's going on there.
Yes.
But actually, I wasn't aware that ketamine is just used as an anesthetic in
Yes.
medical procedures. But it's when you misuse it, it can cause serious problems, serious physical and mental damage, including to your heart and lungs. And police say about 28 kilograms of ketamine have been found on at least 8 occasions around Jeju.
Wow.
So it's been wrapped in foil and labeled with the Chinese character for tea. And I've seen in other articles it says like specifically oolong tea. By the choice, I don't know.
Okay.
So, for example, on October 15th, a beach cleaner was just, you know, walking around the shore, found 20 kilograms of these tea bag drugs along the coast of Seogwipo, which is on the south coast.
Okay.
And they say that's the largest find in the last 2 months. And authorities are like, if you do see something, don't touch it.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, contact the police.
Okay.
So even if it's not just these specific like Chinese tea bags,
right.
if you see anything suspicious, call the police and let them handle it because you don't know what's inside there.
And I remember learning back in school, like ketamine is also like, it's an anesthetic that is so strong. They use it for horses. It's in vet practices, veterinary medicine. So that's,
It's meant to, for large animals.
Not human beings.
No, yeah.
Or under like a doctor's supervision, I'm assuming. But I mean, and the thing is this, like, do you remember when you first came to Korea? I mean, didn't you hear, just like anecdotally, like Korea is a drug-free society?
Yes.
That's what I remember when I first came.
Yeah.
And then now we're hearing these stories and it kind of makes me really worry.
And it's making a lot of people living there worried too, of course. Yeah, like they're worried that their children might, just be playing out by the beach and then what's this?
Yes, and we have a visual on our YouTube page, so let me describe it. So you see the package on top, it looks like tea.
Right.
like, like
it's
a
very specifically,
package.
right.
And then on the bottom image is like the clear crystal-like substance that, you and I would not know, but apparently that is ketamine. So that is why if you don't know what it is, and some people might think, oh, is this like a form of like, is it salt or like sugar? We don't know. Don't
Especially
touch.
kids, right? Like if kids are out playing on the beach, and one of the residents in the area like said exactly that. They had this huge effort to sweep the beach, about 800 soldiers, police officers, civilian volunteers, and one of the residents there they talked to in the article named Kim, just by surname, says, I often bring my children to this beach, and seeing so many people looking for drugs is terrifying. Like you said, this is like an kind of unfamiliar, uncharted territory for Korea.
Right.
So she said, I shudder to think that children might touch something like that.
Yes, and I have a question though, because you did mention specifically Jeju Island, but is this the only place where they have found these?
No, actually. They mentioned in the article, so they talked to the head of the Coast Guard's narcotics unit. They say there have been similar discoveries of these exact things with like tea bag drugs in Pohang, which is not far from here.
Yes.
And also not far from here, Tsushima Island or Daemado in Japan. So yeah, investigators are kind of like focusing on the possibility that these drugs are specifically drifting across these ocean currents to get to Jeju. They talked to a professor Yoon Heung-hee, who's at Hansung University.
Right.
They have a drug and alcohol addiction department. And the professor says there may be a large drug syndicate behind these ketamine packets. So they do something called a C-bump, which is another term.
C-bump?
Basically, the syndicates drop off these drugs in the ocean with a tracker, and then they retrieve them later.
So, by the way, syndicate, just to explain to our listeners, is like an illegal, a group, they do illegal things.
The things that you see in like movies, like
like
these large
cartels.
Right.
Sometimes they're called syndicates, right?
Right.
So I imagine that unfortunately we might be hearing more of these kinds of stories, which I think is so unfortunate.
Yeah. And they say one of the reasons it could be happening is, people are taking advantage of like lax inspection at airports and ports. So these things are probably going to have to be tightened up. Yes,
indeed. Well, we're going to end it on that note, but thank you so much for coming in today and explaining two stories about Korea from the perspective, of course, of a news outlet not from Korea.
Right.
And have a wonderful weekend. We'll check in with you if you survive.
I'll be dreaming of my 1 week vacation before I get my punishment.
And so, lots of rest in pieces coming in for you. R.I.P.
So next time you say be honest on the air, I'm going to be like, let me think about how honest I want to be.
No, we love your honesty. That's you. So
thank you.
I think.
Oh yeah. Well, in my mind, I'm going to imagine things will be okay when I get home.
Of course,
It'll be fine.
Course. Yes. Well, Casey, have a great weekend. Survive. We'll check in with you next Friday.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Well, we're going to get to our final song for hour number 1. This is 회상 by Turbo. So enjoy this one, and I'll be back at 8.
겨울 오면은 우리 둘이서 항상 왔었던 바다가 시린 바람과 하얀 파도는 예전 그대로였지 나의 곁 어땠어 제잘거리던 너의 해맑던 그 모습 이젠 찾을 수 없게 되었어
아무도 없는 겨울의 바닷가 너무나 슬퍼 보인다고 우리가 바다 곁에서 친구가 되자고 내 등에 숨어 바람을 피할 때 네 작은 기도를 들었지 언제나 너의 곁에 우리 항상 함께 해달라고 거친 파도가 나에게 물었지 왜 혼자만 온 거냐고 넌 어디 갔냐고 보이지 않니 나의 뒤에 숨어서 바람을 피해 잠을 자고 있잖아 따뜻한 햇살 내려오면 깰 거야 조금만 기다려 다시는 너를 볼 수 없을 거라는 얘기를 참아 할 순 없었어 하지만 나도 몰라 흘린 눈물들 긴 거야
그녀 절대로 찾을 수 없다고 나를 스쳐갔던 바람이 말했나봐 어딜 가도 그녀 모습 볼 수가 없다고 내게 말했나봐 어딜 가냐고 말을 하라고 자꾸만 재촉하는 바다가 결국엔 나처럼 눈물이 되고야 말았어
하얗게 내린 바다의 눈물로 네 모습 만들어 그 곁에서 누워 네 이름을 불러봤어 혹시 너 볼까봐 녹아버릴까 걱정이 됐나봐 햇살을 가린 구름 떠나지 않잖아 너 없는 바다 눈물로만 살겠지 거칠은 파도 나를 원망하면서 너 없이 혼자 찾아오지 말라고 널 데려오라고 네 모습 볼 수 없다 해도 난 알아 내 볼에 닿은 하얀 한 방울 촉촉한 너의 입맞춤과 눈물이
여기서 찾아 11월 27일부터 3일간 백스콜에서 열리는 2025 KFA 프랜차이즈 창업박람회 부산 최신 창업 트렌드부터 맞춤 세미나, 경품 이벤트까지 사전 등록하면 무료 입장 가능하니 놓치지 마세요. 검색창에 KFA 프랜차이즈 창업박람회.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Brr! It's freezing outside. Let's crank up the heat.
Wait, you don't have to. Lowering the temperature by just 2 degrees can save a lot of energy.
2 degrees? That small change really matters?
You'd be surprised. If 10% of Korean households lower their heating by just 2 degrees, the effects are like planting about 350,000 trees a year.
That's magical. Then I'll just bundle up instead.
Smart move. Try wearing some thermal underwear or warm socks.
Plus, when you go out, don't turn the heater off completely. Set it to away mode or 외출 mode.
That way, it uses less fuel than turning it off and reheating the whole place later. Turn down the heat, but not your warmth.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어 방송.
부울경의 미래, 부산, 울산, 경남 방송발전협의회 운영위원장 성현우입니다. 북극 항로의 핵심지는 어디일까요? 대한민국 해양 수도권 부산, 울산, 경남입니다. 북극 항로를 품고 세계로 부산, 울산, 경남이 하나로 뭉칩시다.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. It's time for Spotlight News. President calls for overhaul in key areas, including labor. President Lee Jae-myung yesterday called for bold reforms across 6 key areas to improve the country's economic growth rate. The fields include regulations, finance, public services, pensions, education, and labor. He emphasized that the government has a duty to reverse the decline in the potential growth rate and open new paths for growth. The president pledged to make thorough and speedy preparation so that next year could be the starting point for South Korea's national transformation through such structural reforms. Court rejects arrest warrant for ex-Justice Minister Park Sung-jae. The Seoul Central District Court again turned down the special counsel's request to arrest former Justice Minister Park Sung-jae related to his alleged involvement in the December 3rd martial law. The court said that even with the additional charges and documents, the allegations are still disputable, and there is a need for Park to have an opportunity to defend himself without detention. Park faces allegations of having convened a meeting at the Justice Ministry after the imposition of martial law and reviewing space at correctional facilities. Park has denied having given any illegal orders to his subordinates. Arrest motion for Chu Kyung-ho brought to Parliament. A motion to approve the arrest of former People Power Party or PPP floor leader Chu Kyung-ho was introduced to the National Assembly yesterday, with the Parliament set to vote on the motion on November 27th. The National Assembly must pass the motion with a simple majority for the court to hold an arrest warrant hearing for a sitting lawmaker. Meanwhile, the insurrection special counsel led by Cho Won-suk stipulated in the motion that Chu, despite being the only person who would or could propose to the then president to lift martial law, did not do so and allegedly cooperated with Yoon. Truck accident at Busan Traditional Market kills 2, injures 19. A 67-year-old driver drove his pickup truck into Jeil Traditional Market in Busan, Gyeonggi Province, killing 2 and injuring 19 others. The 2 deceased are both women, one in her 70s and the other, a Chinese national, in her 60s. The police arrested the driver on the scene and will request an arrest warrant. The police say that the driver most likely stepped on the gas pedal instead of the brake by accident. The driver tested negative for alcohol or drugs. U.S. government opens after shutdown. U.S. federal government agencies are reopening after President Donald Trump signed a funding package on Thursday local time, ending the longest 43-day shutdown. The process is expected to be gradual as federal workers are still waiting for back pay, and flights are still being canceled as air traffic controllers still have not fully returned to work. The agreement between Senate Republicans and some Democrats says that the Senate will vote on extending healthcare subsidies in December, which has been the demand by Democrats to end the shutdown. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for Waggle Waggle. Haley's back.
Hello again.
Let's get waggling. There was recently this huge drug bust, but it all started with a big coincidence.
Kind of carrying on from Casey's line, and this goes to show how often these have been happening, but almost a serendipitous, may that be the word of the day, serendipitous, very coincidental turn of events. So the police recently made a huge drug bust, catching a group of people trying to, or have already at least partially, smuggled in 4.5 billion with a B won worth of drugs. But it all started when a train station worker accidentally picked up a tablet PC.
And
dun, dun, dun.
We need the story. Yes.
So this happened on September 7th of last year.
Okay.
A year-long plus operation. An employee at Chuncheon Station found a tablet PC, and as you could, he unlocked, it was just unlocked, and went to the Kakao Talk app to try and figure out, well, who can I contact to return this?
Okay.
But he came across messages upon messages about illegal gambling, loan sharks, 사채, and on Telegram, drug smuggling and distribution scheme.
Oh my gosh.
So at this point, of course, he called the police. The police, they were able to trace the conversation, and at that point busted 2 men, both 28 years old.
Okay, so what was exactly the extent of this operation?
Right, so apparently these two they met on an online platform for part-time jobs. Same age, came from same hometown, became friends. And then the first man, who also owned the tablet PC, he was contacted by a stranger who offered, if you fly to Europe for a few days and bring these drugs back, we'll pay for, of course, the hotel, the flight, plus 4 million won. Thus started the smuggling operation.
Okay.
But then on their way to the airport, this is when he dropped the tablet PC at the train station, but they were already in Europe en route. So by the time they returned to Korea, who was waiting for them at Incheon International Airport? The police.
So how much are we talking about?
All right, so at that point, the police seized 6 kilos of ketamine, but that even then was the biggest bust ever for Gangwon police. That was worth 390 million won, 3억 9천만 원. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. They had already smuggled in 3 kilos of ketamine distributed across clubs in Gangnam. So the police, they traced the entire operation for the past year, caught a total of 48 people, including 22 for selling and 26 for drug usage.
Wow.
This was actually a breakthrough case because what's interesting is usually about 90% of illicit substances in South Korea come from Southeast Asia.
Right.
But they had apparently opened up this new route in Europe, entrepreneurial. And in the UK, France, and the Netherlands, including packaging ketamine and ecstasy, if you're eating, stop, fecal matter and then hiding it in a body cavity where, yeah. So the total amount of drugs that, including these two, 4 smugglers brought in, collectively worth 4.5 billion won.
I see.
Court cases are ongoing. The 2 smugglers have already been sentenced to 10 and 6 years in prison, respectively. The Dutch smugglers, the one with the body cavity, they're currently standing trial. And I did see a comment on our YouTube page about, isn't South Korea a drug-free nation, 마약 청정국? So that's not like the legal or UN definition, but usually when we are talking about a drug-free or safe country, the figures are 20 or fewer drug-related criminals per 100,000 people. South Korea, the last time we even had something remotely close was 10 years ago. Last year's figure is 44.7 for every 100,000. So no, the answer is no.
이제 아닙니다.
더 이상 아닙니다.
Yes. All right, so now we're going to go to the U.S. for our next story, for a development in the ongoing, the saga, the Epstein Files case.
Right, so in the U.S., the end of the government shutdown was supposed to be the big story, but then just hours later, Democrats released some emails pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And this has been, of course, a major story in the last few months.
Right.
So on Thursday, Democratic lawmakers in the House of Representatives published 3 email exchanges between Epstein and his longtime girlfriend and associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. She's serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking.
That's right.
There are also emails between Epstein and author Michael Wolff, who has written a lot of books on Trump.
Right, so we want to know, what do the emails say?
Right, so we're going to walk through that timeline. So in the emails that Democrats released, Epstein wrote to Maxwell, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump." And redacted name of the victim, spent hours at my house with him. This email was written back in 2011. This was when Trump was kind of tinkering with the idea of going into politics.
Sure.
And then in another exchange with the author Wolff, Epstein says, of course, he, alluding to President Trump, knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
Oh, well, Republicans, they have hit back.
Right, and they hit back hard because they released, I should say, dumped over 20,000 pages of documents and media outlets have been combing through them.
Yes.
But the thing is, Republicans didn't refute the emails because they are there. However, their argument is that Democrats cherry-picked emails. In Korea, we might call that like 악마의 편집 to paint President Trump in a certain light.
Right.
So in the larger bulk of the emails that have been gone through, you can see that Epstein hated Trump in especially the later years before his death. And also that former Prince Andrew, because he's now lost the title, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, kept ties with Epstein long after he said he didn't.
That's right. What about the White House? Any reaction?
Right. Again, selective leaking was the statement put out by the White House to create this fake narrative to smear President Trump.
Yes.
The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, she emphasized that President Trump severed ties with Jeffrey Epstein long before because he was, quote, being a creep to his female employees.
I see.
And then for his part, President Trump wrote on Truth Social that Democrats were trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax to deflect from the government shutdown.
There you have it. Multiple sides of this story. All right, we're going to end with some, I hear, woggly worthy moments from yesterday's 수능.
Right, so a lot of things happened. All right, and this goes to speak how maybe problematic the system could be because a student didn't show up to their exam at Gangseogu district and kind of panic ensued because the school, when they noticed the student didn't come, they contact the parents panicked, call the police. The police, you can trace cell phones and the GPS pinged last spot, Mapo Bridge. It's okay. Okay. But I mean, that is the reaction, right? Because it's a highly stressful situation.
Right.
So the police dispatched about a dozen officers, even a boat to go down to the river, comb through the area. Thankfully, it was a technological glitch. A different ping came in around Yeouido on land.
Okay.
Right? And the police were able to find the student at 10 a.m. So it's about 2 hours because doors close at 8:10. 2 hours of can you imagine what the parents
Oh my
went through?
gosh.
We don't know why the student didn't show up. That's personal. The police did not disclose that information.
Oh, goodness. And some students apparently walked out in the middle of the exam, right?
I mean, you and I talked about this. We do
Yes.
not have the full figures. That's not going to be released. But reporters cited several cases that they've seen.
Yes.
Online communities also talking about even students who fully wrote, hey, I took the first period, the second period. Wasn't my year.
Right.
I wasn't prepared. I walked out.
Yes.
This could have been they were not prepared. It could have been they were gunning for the retake. So they could have been among the top students.
Yes.
I mean, so tough day, right? Whether you finished the exam or not.
Right,
so,
right.
but I do want to say it's a major event.
It is.
It is. But it is one in your life that's gonna be eventful for better or for worse.
Yes.
It's gonna have ups and downs and hopefully more ups if you just stick with it.
Okay.
And I will end this segment today because so at the very beginning of the exam, all students have to handwrite this one statement.
Right.
It's to keep a record of their handwriting to prevent cheating. And test takers do a great job of picking something that's poetic, something
Right.
inspirational. So yesterday for this year's exam, the passage was 초록 물결이 톡톡 튀는 젊음처럼. And that is blue waves sparkling like the youth. So hopefully your youth.
Yes, yes. And so we have the image on our YouTube channel right now. So that's actually from the exam. So you have a visual of what just Haley just explained. So thanks for going over all the Wogley stories. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll check in with you on Monday.
Have a sparkling weekend.
All right, everybody. Let's get to your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic update. First up, let's talk about Gayadero. It is congested from Naengjeong Station to Jure intersection. Also, backed up on Daedong-Hwamyeong Bridge from Hwamyeongdong to Anmak Ramp. Road closures for the fireworks festival. Prep work is already going on Gwangan Bridge with lanes number 3 and 4 to be closed off on the top portion from 9 a.m. this morning. And the bridge will be closed entirely from 3:30 p.m. to midnight for the top portion tomorrow and 6:30 p.m. to midnight for the bottom portion. The main Gwangan 해변로 in front of Gwangan Beach will be shut down to traffic from 10 a.m. and other roads around Gwangan and Marine City, Igidae, and Mount Hwangryong will be restricted or closed off as well. Currently, it is 7 degrees Celsius under clear skies. It's going to go up to 19 degrees. And for the weekend, clear skies for both Saturday and Sunday. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for our special interview. So you may have heard of this story or stories at this point. A wave of AI cheating-related scandals is shaking up South Korea's top universities. So, for example, we first heard the story break out of Yonsei University. Hundreds of students in a natural language processing and chat GPT class are suspected of using AI tools during their online midterm. And then there was another story that broke thereafter. Korea University. And then we heard about Seoul National University. So, here in Korea, they're the so-called Sky Universities where students allegedly cheated somehow using AI programs, respectively, at these schools. So these incidents have sparked debate over how schools should handle AI's growing role in education. So today, we're going to discuss what this means for students and educators with our expert guest. This is Professor Jessie Ha, Professor of Teaching and Learning at Montclair State University. Hi, Professor. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Yes. So what do these recent AI cheating cases tell us about the challenges universities or just schools in general face adapting to this type of new technology?
Well, I would say it's existential, right? Like generative AI tools have so much power, and I'll take it back actually to like a story of when I was growing up. I remember when I first got my TI-89 calculator, which is like a very advanced calculator in 6th grade, and teachers were worried that I would use it for cheating. But the thing is, in the end, it helped me to advance my studies and to accelerate my learning. And so now we have a tool, it's even more powerful, generative AI.
Right.
But the thing is, what needs to change is going to be the entire pedagogical system of how we do everything in education in order to be able to adapt to this technology so that it's not cheating, but rather it's the using of a tool. And the thing is, we can't really not use it because our workers now, or more than ever, are expected to be able to use these tools effectively.
Yes. And so in terms of students, why do you think so many students are turning to these generative AI tools? The major one being ChatGPT during exams, even though they know it's against the rules.
Well, that's a tale that's old as time. It's kind of, if the advantages are there and the risk is not very high, then students will do what they do. And it's been done through history, and it still continues to be done regardless. And we don't even see much of it probably.
Right.
But my question as an educator is, why are students being pushed to cheat? Right. And for me, the main thing is that these kinds of tests in which the goal of education currently through most of the system is just to get an A. Right? It's not to learn.
Right.
And so when the goal is learning, students will use chat. If they are intrinsically motivated to learn something, they'll use it to learn quite effectively.
Sure.
But if the goal of education is just to get the grade, then yeah, cheating is the most efficient pathway to your goal. And so one of the big things that we need to shift in society is going to be, why do we still have this test culture, which we've been questioning for decades now, and now it's existentially threatened.
Yes.
And the problem with this is that it's going to become an arms race. Students will become better and better at cheating and hiding their cheating, which they've always been good at, but they're going to get even better with these tools. And then the administrators and teachers are going to try to find ways to catch them. And the thing is, we're just going to end up using so much technically energy, because we're using AI to fight AI, and it's just going to be it's a nonsensical battle.
Yes.
And so for me, we have to change our entire pedagogical system to go towards the kind of learning that's more inquiry based and about learning and not about testing.
Yes. So if that is your line of thought, Professor, do you think that what's been happening, of course, the splashy headlines and whatnot, that this might be a failure of discipline, or is it kind of maybe a failure of the education system itself, like you said, focusing on exams and grades versus actual learning and, to enjoy learning?
Yeah, I would take it back towards, I guess, the most intrinsic level as humans, right? We inherently want to learn. We inherently want to be really good at things.
Yes.
Right. But we stripped that away from learning, and we've turned it into memorize these things, answer it on a test, and get a score. And so inherently, there's no meaning to learning in many ways other than I need a job. Now, if from youth, you're told, well, you need to learn because you need to develop skill sets to do what you want to do.
Yes.
That's a very different question to ask and a very different task to give students. And so our assessments need to change. We need to move away from tests and instead work on portfolios, because you know what? With Gen AI tools, a 9-year-old can develop an app that can help their community. Right? And those are the kinds of portfolios, or an artist can use AI to enhance what they're doing and actually have something like a thriving Insta channel or something, or TikTok videos or whatever, right? Whatever kids nowadays are doing. But they can be already having these kinds of portfolios showing, hey, I know how to use these tools effectively. And you know what? Companies are going to be looking for those kinds of students who know how to use these tools effectively.
Right. And what about the universities themselves, the schools of higher learning? How should they respond when AI usage blurs those lines between a learning aid, an aid to help you, research something in depth to really learn something versus academic dishonesty?
Yeah, that's a fine line. I would say it is important for students to understand in terms of not cheating and cheating. It's very clear lines. At the same time, I would say that there's little value being added by education then. Right. If all I need to do is go to a university and get a grade and get out and use that as my kind of status symbol to move on to what I want to in the future, then that's a proposition that's going to make students in the future generations see the value of college less and less. And we're gonna see lower enrollment because of it. And if universities, to me, if they want to survive, they need to be able to offer students something that's valuable, that they can actually have their students believe that they're gonna learn something effective, that they'll be able to learn their Gen AI tools to enhance what they learn. And I was actually at a conference in Korea this summer at a learning science conference, and one professor, the keynote, he said that we need to see AI as intelligence augmentation, right? And so universities need to start shifting. Well, how do you create a curricula? How do you create programs and policies that allow students to use AI for intelligence augmentation, while at the same time, taking away kind of those AI cheating tools? Because I would say, again, the university is already spending a lot of money on trying to detect AI, but then it's not even fully accurate. So students can technically, most of the time, appeal decisions. I don't know how it goes in Korea, but in the States, they can appeal decisions because there's also a lot of bad detection out there.
Yes.
And so this is a nonsensical battle. Instead, we probably need to just shift away and change our curricula so that learning is, you can't cheat. Because what if your goal is to produce something real, something authentic, that you need to show as a portfolio? There's no cheating on that, because you know what? In the real world, you can use all the AI you want. It has to be really good. It has to be authentic. It has to feel real.
Right.
And so that's a really hard ask, but we're kind of being pushed into this as quickly as possible because, I've been teaching project-based learning since 2014, and I've been a proponent of it for over a decade now. Wow, that's a long time. But it's all of a sudden, it's become more important than ever to think about inquiry-based learning, because to me, that's the only solution to make school feel it is something that is difficult enough in nature for students to then be able to really use all the tools that they have to meet that challenge.
Yes, and so speaking of using those tools, how can guidelines or teaching methods be tweaked so that we can help students use these AI tools responsibly, not just be dependent on them, but to use them to enhance our learning, to get these real projects done, but, to use them as tools and not just be kind of overtaken by all the AI?
There's a lot of levels to talk about here.
Yes.
I'll try to name, I guess, a few big ones.
Sure.
But the first thing is teacher training, right? Teachers don't really know how to use the Gen AI or even well.
Yes.
Most people that I know still use ChatGPT like a Google search, which is actually, Google search is better for that if you're just asking a basic question most of the time, because you get the options. But it's about what we call in the AI world prompt engineering.
Yes.
Whereas you give the conditions to the AI, to let's say ChatGPT, for example, and you say, the first thing I always put when I do this is I say, if you're less than 95% certain, Chat, I want you to tell me and not just make something up. Right? And you can do that. You can also tell Chat, I only want you to look at sources from here and there. I want you to pretend that you are a professor at the junior rank level who is a more down-to-earth type, or, I'll give all these conditions to Chat so that I constrict its world so that it creates, I can engineer responses that are better, right? But most people and most teachers don't know these skill sets of prompt engineering. So we need to build this AI literacy for our teachers. And then I guess for students, what's going to be important is that students need to also realize, to me, is that the best users of AI tools are experts.
Yes.
So if you are an expert in the field and you talk with ChatGPT and you get responses, you're able to immediately understand. And I've done this when I ask to some research stuff. I'm like, no one ever wrote that. That's not a real article. I would know. And I can identify falsehoods, or it gives me back, let's say, a teaching method. I'm like, no, that's not. That doesn't follow learning sciences, right?
Yes.
And so you have to be able to critically analyze and discern what's good and what's not good. And the only way is to get to a level of expertise so that you're not the one being controlled by AI. You want to be the master, right? And so students, I think, if they're impressed upon from a young age that mastery comes through, they can use the AI, but they need to develop a greater mastery of a certain field.
Right.
Then they'll be the ones at the top who are able to produce immense amounts of, just product, right, and services that then the jobs will come for them, right?
Well, as we look to wrap up our conversation today, Professor, do you think that these recent, scandals out of these top universities, that anything's going to change in the way that universities, they approach this type of technology, or the way they evaluate, students, their levels of learning, or just academic integrity overall?
Are we talking about Korea?
Yes, we are.
That's a really different. It's even difficult in the States, right? I have a lot of academic freedom to teach the way I do, and I've always done project-based learning.
Yes.
Right. But I know Korean. I taught in Korea this summer. I taught at Seoul National University, and I employed the same thing. But I'm that foreign teacher, right? I'm the foreigner. I'd say that there has to be policy, right? And I would say the sky. They're the ones who are going to really control this. Like, you can't really do it at the Congress level.
Yes.
I would say at the Sky University, if they collectively decide that we're trying to move toward inquiry-based learnings, which in the conferences they talk about all the time, but they don't actually do yet, right?
Right.
They're trying to.
Yes.
Right? If they make that policy to really move forward in those directions, then I think the other universities will follow suit.
Yes.
And the other portion that's really important is that industry needs to agree. Which I think it's very easy for them to agree, because if you want to work in Google in the States, they actually look for students who have experience with project-based learning and doing lots of different capstones, right? And so if Samsung, LG, Hyundai are looking for those kinds of students, then the universities follow suit. And if the universities create their admissions policies based on these kinds of skill sets, then high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools will then start to shift how they start preparing students to get into the universities that their parents want them to go to. So
that their parents want them to go to. Yes. Well, thank you.
That's important.
It is. That's part of our culture. So thank you so much for coming on air with us and sharing your expertise and your views regarding, unfortunately, these AI-related cheating scandals. But thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Of course, any day.
Once again, this was Professor Jesse Ha, and it's what he said in theory. It's so good, right? These project-based type of learning. I don't know. Can we get to that stage where, from the universities to the companies to all the schools trickling down, that trickle-down effect? Hopefully one day we'll get there. But in the meantime, food for thought. You think about it. Here is our next song, Cheek to Cheek by Minoi.
I'm in heaven, and my happy sound that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. I love to go out fishing in an ocean or a creek, but it wouldn't really have as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I love to climb a mountain and reach the highest peak, but it wouldn't really have as much as dancing street. When we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Won't you come and dance with me? I want my arms about you, the chance about you will carry me through woods to heaven. I'm in heaven, and the care stepping out from me through the beat seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak. When we're out together, when we're out together, when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Yeah.
It's time for Global Affairs. We have 안교수님, Professor Andrew Millard. He's in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I am so curious about your answer, your response to our text topic.
Okay.
And you have to be really honest with us. If you had complete, total, unbridled freedom for an entire week, what would you do and with whom?
Oh.
I know
that's
you're
a hard
such a
question.
because you're always busy.
So I am. I'm always busy.
Yes.
Even the weekends.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, what I'd really love to do is just sleep for a week.
Oh,
just do nothing.
Nothing?
Just turn my phone off. Not have to check emails.
Yeah.
Not have to answer calls or requests for interviews or anything like that. Just
lounge.
take
and do
the week
nothing.
off.
Oh.
Would I do it by myself?
Yes, that was going to be my next question. Assuming
My
that
wife and kids might have to turn off for a minute.
Turn it off.
I don't know. I think maybe I'd spend 4 or 5 days with the family.
Oh.
Maybe if we could go somewhere, have a little holiday.
Oh, nice.
Because I quite like to go to the beach,
Yes.
lie by the pool,
Aw.
have a beer.
Oh,
and
nice. You're drawing us a picture
some
Friday
food.
night. Yeah.
But a couple of days just on my own wouldn't be too bad.
I love
to
the
be honest.
honesty. Yes. Well, now that we are all fantasizing about, laying poolside or at the beach.
I think it is a fantasy. That's the right word there.
Yeah, especially right here, right now, Korea with this weather. I mean, it is beautiful autumn, but still,
Right.
somewhere nice and warm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we do have to get away from fantasy land and get back to reality. So, global affairs. What do we have?
So this one, it's a topic that's it's been in the news for the past sort of 10 days, couple of weeks.
Yes.
But I've also been talking about it at university in a couple of my classes because we're doing security this week. So it's really about the nuclear-powered submarine that potentially South Korea will at some point in the future get.
There are a lot of question marks.
There's a
in
lot
there.
of question marks.
Yes.
So it's quite an interesting one because this was never mentioned at all.
Yes.
Sort of in the months previously,
Right.
before Gyeongju, before APEC. And then suddenly, after Lee and Trump had their meeting, they were like, yeah, Trump's given the approval. So it sort of came out of nowhere.
Right. It was kind of like, was that an issue?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know whether President Lee sort of just came up with this idea and threw it in sort of last minute.
Okay.
If he did, I actually think it's quite a good strategy.
Okay.
Because when we've been talking about the negotiations, the deal in the past, a lot of it's been focused on tariffs, but also on the what we call burden sharing.
Yes.
So Donald Trump wanting South Korea to pay more for the U.S. defense, U.S. forces to stay in Korea, which again, actually it's not such a crazy policy from Donald Trump. Many presidents in the U.S. have done that as well. So I think this is a good strategy basically to say, if you allow us to have a nuclear-powered submarine,
right,
which allows us to go on longer operations, to be deployed for much longer periods of time, and with sort of more sophisticated equipment, then we can do this instead of having to require the U.S. nuclear-powered submarines.
Yes.
And the U.S. forces. So in a way, that reduces the burden on the U.S. forces and potentially sort of also increases spending from the Koreans as well.
Right.
So it's actually, in my opinion, a pretty good strategy.
And so, I don't know, how significant is this though? It was a surprise announcement for many people.
So it depends how you look at it.
Oh.
So one way we can look at it is it's pretty significant because Donald Trump, if it's not just Trump, if it's the US military also saying, actually, yeah, this is a good idea.
Yes.
It potentially signals that the US forces are now recognizing that South Korea has the capability to basically take full, what we call OPCON, operational control.
Yes.
It already has it in peacetime, but they want it also in wartime as well.
That's right.
So this is sort of basically the US kind of recognizing South Korea is ready for that, especially if we give them slightly better equipment, more sophisticated equipment.
Sure.
Then really we can sort of hand that mantle over to the South Koreans. So from the military perspective, that's one way we can look at it.
Okay.
But again, this was sort of thrown in last minute. This was Donald Trump saying, yes, we're going to approve this. I wonder whether this is Donald Trump just looking at this as a pure business transaction.
I see.
And what I mean by that is we know Donald Trump, he wants to, the MASGA, make American shipping great again.
Yeah.
He wants to bring more jobs back to America. And so he was talking about this submarine being built in America, in Philadelphia.
The Philly shipyard.
So one way we could look at it is Donald Trump, he's not really thinking too much about the military aspect. He's just thinking about, now we can bring those jobs to America. This is a win for my domestic base.
However, on the flip side, doesn't Korea want to build it here domestically?
So this is why at the moment nothing has been signed.
Right.
They've been talking about this for quite a few days now. And the problem is, yes, Trump wants it in America at the Philadelphia shipyard.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that one, the infrastructure is just not ready.
Right.
So that would first add a huge cost to improve the infrastructure. It would also delay this several years before they could even start construction. And bear in mind, in America also has its own program for its own nuclear-powered submarines.
Sure.
They're at least 12, maybe 24 months behind schedule as well. So anything that possibly is made in America, it's going to face long delays.
Yes.
So South Korea is saying, well, in that case, why don't you come over here to Korea? We have one of, if not the world's best shipbuilding industries.
Yes.
So we definitely have the expertise, which again, the Americans maybe don't quite have. But also maybe in terms of nuclear power, South Korea needs to improve there as well.
Yes.
But it does have the infrastructure in place already.
Right.
And another bonus could be the Americans, during the Cold War especially, their naval fleet was based pretty much in the Atlantic.
Yes.
Because everything was focused on Europe.
Right.
European defense. And so a lot of the American shipyards for their Navy are based on the east coast of America.
Right.
Which means now that the Navy is focused more in the Pacific region, when they need repairing or sort of updates, whatever, they have to go all the way around back to the East Coast.
The logistics,
because the West Coast really only has about half as many shipyards. So again, this could be where the South Koreans could say, actually, if we have the shipyards in Korea, if we're building nuclear-powered submarines here, then your Navy doesn't have to go to the East Coast or back to the US. You can come to Korea and we can repair also the nuclear-powered ships as well. So that could be another, way to reduce U.S. forces spending in Korea.
I have a question though. When I personally heard this announcement, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that was kind of out of nowhere to me as a layperson. This announcement regarding the submarine. So my question is this. To me, it sounded like it kind of came out of, left field, but maybe, behind the scenes, they were like already talking about it. However, it does seem like they didn't really iron out the details. Like they wanted to announce something, something, because it's like, Trump was in Korea and like there was APEC going on. And of course, with China and Xi Jinping in the country as well, it kind of seemed like they wanted to announce something.
So again, this is where I to be honest, agree with you.
Okay.
I think for both countries, I think definitely President Lee in Korea wanted some sort of deal.
Right.
And like I said, he wanted, tariffs were generally pretty much, I think, mostly negotiated.
Yes.
It was the U.S. forces, the defense spending that was the key issue. But definitely for Trump and all of the other deals, if you really analyze them, they're not particularly amazing deals. But he gets that promotion where he has the photo op where he can sign it and take it back to America.
And say, I got something done.
Oh, I got some. So actually in America, you're seeing more and more politicians now saying, look, stop the foreign policy. You need to start focusing more on the domestic issues.
Yes.
Okay. So they're starting to realize he's just trying to divert attention away from domestic issues to the foreign policy issues. So it's very interesting.
What other challenges might there be, though, while we're on this topic of, like, for example, there's always this issue of maybe like technology.
So, this is, again, because this is for Korea, the first nuclear-powered vessel of any type, but submarine, this issue of bringing nuclear fuel to Korea, this is very sensitive.
Yes.
So the U.S., again, this is why the U.S. also wants to build in America to protect that technology.
Okay.
The potential leak of the technology to China or North Korea, if they build it in South Korea, is here. But then also the issue just of bringing nuclear fuel back to Korea.
Sure.
This is something that North Korea, China, the others have been sort of concerned about.
Yes.
Now, some of them have been saying, as a member of the NPT, South Korea should not be doing this.
Can we explain what NPT is? The
Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Yes.
So South Korea has been a signatory since, I think, 1980s, I think, something like that. So for a long time. This does not cover nuclear fuel for propulsion for vessels.
Sure.
So it's not violating the NPT in any way.
Okay.
What it does need to do is it needs to have the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Association Agency. They need to come and verify that South Korea is only using it for fuel, not to build nuclear weapons.
That's always a concern, though.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, that's exactly the same as what's going to happen in Australia when Australia gets its first nuclear submarines as well.
Sure. So it does seem, once again, a lot of the details to be worked out, and whether there is an agreement in theory or, if, it does seem like, once President Trump, he returned to the U.S., there were, people in the defense industry, some of his own people that had, many question marks, doubts about this whole deal in the first place.
Right.
So
I think there's still a lot of people with a lot of doubts on the Korean side and the American side as well.
Yes,
so this is why usually after some sort of big summit or bilateral meeting, there's some sort of declaration.
Yes.
There's usually some sort of official statement. So you'll see, usually, it happens a lot in Europe, at the end of the meeting, both of them will go and stand behind two lecterns, and they'll basically talk about what they discussed.
Sure.
So here, we still don't have what is called the joint fact sheet, which is basically the official sort of declaration, the summary of what has been sort of discussed and agreed upon. So we still, like I said, don't have any firm signatures. Honestly, I don't know when we're likely to get one.
Okay.
Because I think this could potentially take a long time to really iron out the details.
The joint fact sheet, so that it has yet to appear. So we'll be awaiting that. Anything else you want to add before I let you go today?
No, I think I'm just ready for the weekend.
And we have a question from one of our listeners saying, really? With family? Like, it's like they're incredulous. The fact that
what I would do in my free time?
that you would actually want to spend your week of freedom, but with family. So people
with the family.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I really
family.
don't see them very much
Oh,
these
because
days.
you're working so much.
Because I'm working all the
Yes.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fully understood. But thank you so much. Wishing you a lovely weekend. Hopefully you can squeeze in some rest and
I'll try.
relaxation. And we'll
Yes.
check in with you next week.
Okay, see you next week.
All right. Well, this week has been an eventful one. And I know we focused on the 수능 so much this week because we had to. It's one of those once a year kind of deals. But the thing is, it's done. I mean, what can we do? But you can definitely be supportive of whomever, the test takers in your life, whether it's, a 고3러, like I have one at home, or if they're retaking the exam, of course, waiting the official results. They're coming Friday, December 5th. So that will be another day where we will be talking about this again in the future. Wishing all of you a lovely weekend. Of course, a big shout out to our staff members. Our producer, Jo Yeji, assistant producer. We have Kang Yijin, our writers, Haley Seo, Soo Kim. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back on Monday to do it all over again. Final song is 뒹굴뒹굴 by 선우정아. So have a good one. Bye, everybody.
하루를 종일 한 자리에서 한 시간 더 뒹굴뒹굴 대굴대굴 숨쉬기 운동 효과가 지고 누워있는 게 가장 좋아 특히 밥 먹고서 바로 누우면 소가 된다고 겁을 주던데 나는 원래 소띠라 괜찮아 먹는 것도 귀찮아 씻는 건 당연하고 화장실도 그냥 참을래 인생은 한 방이야 몰아서 한 번에 딱 벼락치기가 최고야 연애도 귀찮아 사람들이 귀찮아 생각하는 게 다 귀찮아 멍청이는 아닌데 깍쟁이도 아니야 계산하는 거 완전 귀찮아 뒹굴뒹굴 대굴대굴 주말을 내내 한 자리에서 한 시간 더 뒹굴뒹굴 대굴대굴 내 몸 하나 놓을 딱 그만큼만 Every day my lazy days my long brain walks so slowly Every day the sleepy days will go slowly I'm the only I